Cool. Okay. Welcome everybody to another edition of our weekly realty talks at Porterhouse International Realty Group. Um, I'm once again the host. The Porters are still getting somewhat situated from their international travels. Um, so I jumped in to chat with you guys as always on Thursday. So with that being said, I know we have with COVID, everything that's been going on. Unfortunately, I haven't met everybody, and I just wanted to kind of more formally kind of introduce myself. I know that there are a lot of newer agents that have joined our wonderful brokerage, and just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background information of myself, as well as some tidbits and things that we can look at moving forward with the CARES Act coming up. Eventually we are going to see a boost in potential business that we can get involved with, helping people with short sales for pre-foreclosures, stuff like that. So I actually brought, I have the postcards that I use. So just kind of give you guys some information, things you can incorporate into your business as a realtor. But first off, I'm Curtis. I've been with Porterhouse International Realty Group really from its kind of beginning. I got my license literally, it'll be 4 years ago this fall. And basically it's about 4 years since the brokerage was kind of established or founded. My background, I've kind of been in an entrepreneurial environment kind of my whole life. I grew up in a health food store. I've opened up my own health food store, and I actually currently own a strength conditioning facility in Laurel for almost, it's kind of crazy, but about 11 years now. So if anybody's familiar with CrossFit or CrossFit type training, I opened up one of the first CrossFits in the DMV 11 years ago, and love it. So we still have survived through COVID, and thank God our business is actually starting to pick up once again, just as the variant kicks in. But but we're hanging in there. I mean, we actually have kind of survived this. We were literally forced to close. We had to actually be shut down for 3 months. It's been a wild ride the past year and a half, but we're still here. We're still hanging in there. But with that, I basically took all my real estate courses online. I was doing that while I was still actively coaching and running my strength conditioning facility. And I finally, passed everything. And for me, it was I have two little ones. If folks don't know, I have a lovely 11-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. And so kind of 4 years ago, they were both now in school. So I wanted to, I've always had a fascination and a love for architecture, design, and real estate. If I wasn't watching UFC, cage fighting, or boxing, I would watch HGTV. So I've always had a fascination and just a love for property, regardless if it's high end, whatever it is. Even now, typically we'll have on either HGTV, DIY Network, or AWE. If you're not familiar with it, you should check it out. It's called A Wealth of Entertainment. They have really cool shows, more geared toward luxury, kind of properties and lifestyle. So I've always had kind of a fascination with real estate. And as my kids now were getting older and off to school, I had more downtime. The way the gym rolls, it's kind of structured classes. And so I was speaking to my good friend, Shay Porter, and he was, I was telling him about possibly getting my license, and he was like, go for it. So, fast forward that a couple of years, I did get my license, and it has been the absolute best thing that I've ever done. I absolutely love being a realtor. One of the main things that I love about it is actually being a part of Porterhouse International Realty Group. In some ways, have been very spoiled because I don't know what other brokers do. I don't know kind of, how it is at other offices. I literally got my license and called Shay. It's like, so now what do I do? And at that time, there were only really just a couple agents. So I actually stopped by the office a few days ago, and it always just, it just brings me joy. It's just crazy to see all the business cards, that we have now. Back when I started, it was like 4 cards, like maybe 5 different cards. So, it's wonderful to see how the brokerage has grown. But for me, I didn't have a reference. One of the things that I'd like to think that I'm very kind of good at is listening. I'm very coachable. So with that being said, one of the first things, because you're trying to figure all this out, you got your got your license, and now what do you do? And it's funny because like one of the first things I'm talking to Shay, like, so what now? Like, what do I do? And one of the first things he literally told me, he was like, just do whatever JasmyenPorter says to do. Don't question it, just do it. And I took that literally to heart. So everything that I know in real estate is really from Shay and JasmyenPorter. That's one of the good things that we have at our brokerage that I don't see at other brokerages is the access to information. If you don't know anything, you have a robust team here to support you. If you can't get a hold of Jasmine, reach out to Shay. If you can't get a hold of Shay, please reach out to me, and down so and so forth. The level of training and coaching that I've received in the last 4 years has been a big key component to my success, as a realtor. I was the top agent for a couple years running until I got ousted by wonderful Kristen. She took me out, but I'm coming. We'll see what happens this year. But it's the training. It's the even doing this, the realty talks. So kind of pre-COVID, we would have weekly trainings. I believe they were Thursday evenings. And I would literally leave my coaching session. Sometimes I would be sweaty. I'd have to have a change of clothes in the car, or like change before I would come out to the office. But I never missed, out of the past, say 4 years, once we really started rolling out the trainings, I can probably count on one hand the actual trainings that I missed. And this is pre-Zoom and kind of pre-COVID, but I made it a very big point to be a sponge and get as much information as I could. The more information that you guys can get as realtors, the more professional and the more kind of think of it as a Swiss Army knife, right? So as a realtor, we're the knife. We do help you buy, sell property. But the Swiss Army knife can open up, and now you might have a question about a short sale. You might have a question about, if they can sell their property, or, can they get pre-approved, and so the more training, the more knowledge and information that you guys can kind of get, the better agent you will become. You may not use everything at that moment, but the more that you can expose yourself to information, the better it's going to be for you. It will also kind of give you a sense of confidence, more confidence, because you just know more. Kind of going back to, loving HGTV and this and that. There's so many people out here too that think because they watch HGTV that they know real estate. And they don't. They really do not know the intricacies of a transaction. but you do. Even if you just got your license a month ago, you are a realtor. You are an agent. You took an exam. You took classes. You had to pass your classes. So don't let the being newer or new kind of hold you back from really putting yourself out there as agents. We do not want to be, as we call, secret agents. We want people to know, like, hey, I can help you. What do you want to do? You want to sell? You want to buy? You want to invest? And the more that you can kind of put yourself out there, the better that it's going to be for your real estate business. I do say business because you are, each of us on this call, as real estate agents, you should have a actual either LLC or an Inc. You should have an actual corporate entity that you kind of run your business out of. That's going to be a little bit more, talk to your accountant, how you want to set up your corporation. But that's one of the things, again, from trainings and things that I learned with the Porters, is to structure myself, so, as an agent, kind of figuring it out. Now I operate as, I call it RP3, or Right Price Property Pros. So that is my corporation. My commissions are paid to Right Price Property Pros, not Curtis Price, just for tax benefits. And then there's, other things that you can do as a corporate entity, but to look at yourself as a business. And with that said, kind of, I'll show you guys postcards and things that I'm doing for this one campaign. But these are all things that, I put underneath, my business buys the postcards. I don't buy the postcards. But again, the trainings. So the more, I can't stress it enough, the more information that you guys can kind of get, the better that you will be moving forward as an agent. And there's a wealth of information. So, Brokerment. We all have Brokerment, access to Brokerment. There's a library in Brokerment that has our buyer consultation, listing consultation, all of these things. Looking at the buyer consultation, one of the things I did early on in my career with Porterhouse is I printed it out, and that would kind of be my nighttime reading. So I would just, I have it printed out and binded. I should have brought it. It's actually, it's upstairs. But I would just thumb through it, and I would just start to become more familiar with the layout of the buyer consultation. Again, this is kind of, clearly pre-COVID, but when, Shay, if he was doing a buyer consultation, I would sit in on it and just take notes in my actual buyer consultation that I had. So I would have like talking points or things that might stick out to me that, oh, okay, let me use that, would be in my actual buyer consultation book, so that as I would kind of skim through it again, I would just become more and more familiar with the presentation. So again, it kind of just goes back to training. He didn't make me come to like an actual buyer consultation. I wanted to be at the buyer consultation. So certain things, you guys will have to pull yourself out of your comfort zone and get after it. The more that you can become more familiar with the buyer consultation, the listing consultation, even in just dialoguing and talking with people at a restaurant, you will become more knowledgeable about the process, what we want to do. So it's kind of you meet somebody, first thing we need to do is immediately get them pre-approved, see how much home that they can actually afford. That's where, we can reach out to Michael Cooper, the Marist Bank, let him work on their financials. Once they're pre-approved, we call it the golden ticket. So we have that golden ticket letter of how much home they can actually afford. Now we're going to set up the buyer consultation. Clearly, we've been doing a lot of those on Zoom, however you got to do them. I've done when COVID first hit, I did a buyer consultation in a parking lot. Literally, it was so crazy because I mean, I didn't know what was, none of us knew what COVID was, what was really going to happen or what was happening. So this was like earlier stages of COVID. I met a potential client at a Lowe's parking lot, and we just wound our windows down, and I proceeded to literally go through the buyer consultation with her in the parking lot. I then already had all of the documents ready as well. So that's part of the way I'll do my buyer consultations. Clearly, I have their name, their email. So before I even set the appointment or have the appointment for the buyer consultation, I'll go into, at that time, it was .loop. Now we're solely using Brokerment. I would go into Brokerment, and I would already create the agency documents for the potential client. So I have all, understanding whom, the dual agency, all these documents ready. So after the presentation, I would then kind of inform the potential client that this is how the documents will be signed when we're submitting your offer, this and that. But in order for me to now start showing you properties, I need to be your licensed realtor. Would send those documents over, and I literally did that in the parking lot. So on my phone, I sent her the documents, made sure she received them. So she looked, she got the documents. And then she didn't sign at that moment, but later in the day, she signed off. I became a realtor. And then I started taking her out to look at properties. But that's kind of by me studying the buyer consultation, by me, just kind of evening reading or just thumbing through it, I was able to give her a buyer consultation in the parking lot randomly in some afternoon. But if I didn't do my due diligence, if I didn't print that out and read it and look through it and keep familiarizing myself with it, I really wouldn't have had the confidence probably to just be like, look, we'll just meet here. I got you. Let's go over, our buyer consultation. I wouldn't have had that confidence. So that's one thing I can't stress enough is like, if you haven't even looked at the buyer consultation yet, it's very powerful, very, very powerful. So a lot of the things that we have access to, take advantage of, make it part of your day. Every day we should be doing something to nudge our real estate business forward. Life happens. The world we're living in right now, a little crazy, it's a little wild, but that doesn't mean that you still can't move forward. You can't make something happen with your real estate business. Some days you might touch on 4 things that are going to help move your business forward. Some days it might be maybe 1, but as long as you're still engaging, educating yourself, making a post on social media, handing out business cards, we call them our seeds at Porter House, and they literally are that. But you got to plant the seed in order to reap a harvest. We all have, I don't know, I think it's like 2,000 cards. We all got the big box. How far are you through it? Like you should be moving through cards. I have a stack I keep in my car, and then I have some in my wallet. And for me, that's just as soon as I run out of my wallet, I know I have some in my car that I can refresh my wallet. And I just try to make it a habit. In the beginning, I just wasn't good at it. I still have areas of improvement, but I've come a long way from 4 years ago when I got, my box. Now I just make it more of a conversation starter. If I have any conversation going, hey, I'm in real estate. If you know anybody that needs needs any help buying or selling, I'd love to help. Here's my card, and leave it at that. I don't try to hard sell and, just here you go. I even have my dad, he called the other day, was like, gave out 3 of your cards. I was like, great. I was like, just keep planting the seed, just keep throwing them out there, because you truly, truly, truly will never know what'll happen. It's funny because that happened to me about a year ago. When was it? Was fall. Sitting on this couch, I was laying on the couch that I'm on. Some of you guys may have heard the story, but literally on the couch, watching. I think I was watching the news, just looking at the world imploding with COVID and everything going on, and out of the blue, phone rings. It was a former client. I helped them buy an investment property in Odenton, townhouse, nothing crazy, but transaction. It was a short sale. I did a really good, did a great job with them getting the keys in their hand. So the transaction took a little longer, as short sales kind of will, but didn't lose sight of getting it over the finish line. Boom, they got the house. They were to go in, fix it up, do what they needed to do, and now they have a tenant. So former client calls me and is like, "Hey, I have a property that I'm interested in. Are you busy?" No, I'm not. Ends up being $1 million house. So the crazy thing is they were already approved. So they didn't go with Michael Cooper because they already had his connects. So he had his lender letter. They were ready to go. They already looked at the property. They just wanted me to step in and to facilitate it for them, to make sure that everything was on the up and up. They knew the seller had a realtor. They wanted to have a realtor. They even talked about, between themselves as a couple, should we reach out to Curtis? And they were like, I did such a good job on the other deal, let's reach out to Curtis. Long story short, they got the house. So they literally, I went from the couch, got a phone call. I didn't even see the property until the home inspection because they already knew it. I just pulled everything up, wrote the offer, negotiated back and forth a little bit because it was right. COVID was starting to happen. So, but the market wasn't crazy like it is now. However, because of the price point and the type of property, there probably wouldn't have been a huge bidding war or this and that. But there were some things that did happen. They appraised $90,000. It was like $90,000 or $80,000 under what we were offering. And me being the savvy Porterhouse realtor that I am, I was able to save the deal and walk away with basically a $900,000 transaction that actually started January. So January of 21 this year, they actually closed on their dream home, their forever home. But going back, you don't know when, you don't know what'll happen, and you just kind of, again, the training, more training, because you just never know what'll happen. But literally on the couch, sitting here, got a phone call that kind of changed my life. Biggest transaction I've had to date. And I loved it. You know what I mean? Like, I need more. But the training that we have at Porterhouse is just phenomenal. But you have to get on the training. You have to get on the calls. So with that, COVID is really producing a huge market potential for us to help people. A lot of you know the CARES Act. I believe Governor Hogan has extended it again to the end of August. Basically, you can't evict renters, people that haven't been paying their mortgage. The banks just can't kind of come and take over the property, what have you. I don't know when that's going to come to a halt, but it is going to come to a halt. It is just inevitable. And so with that, a few weeks ago, we had Alan Weiner with a short sale specialist that we've partnered with at Porterhouse do a training. I highly recommend that, if you didn't see the training or weren't listening to the training, go on our YouTube channel and go back to Short Sale Specialist and, watch the training, get the information. Very, very good opportunity for us as realtors to get listings, to get more business into our funnel, into our pipeline, that we can be involved with. The other thing is to help people. A lot of people don't know what they can do, what their options are. And some of the options that they have, they're not going to be able to withstand. Like, can you pay all the money up front of what you owe? If you can't, well, basically, we got you 3 months. You got to make your payments on time. If you can do that, we'll stack all that money on the back end of your loan. But if they default, if they are late at one, just once over the period of the loan, they can right away swoop in and start the foreclosure process. So a lot of people are going to be in need of our services. The campaign that we have is in brokerment. The letters are done for you. So basically, this one campaign is 3 letters, and they're all very time sensitive. And the letters are going to get you to door knock at the end of the campaign. So personally, I kind of took it another step forward because we want at least 7 touches, right? So kind of to get ingrained in that potential client's mind, we need to kind of make ourselves seen or heard of 7 times. It's kind of the magic number. We then want to keep following up after the 7 initial touches, but you want to just think of 7 touches. So with that, we have the letter. So we got 3 letters. And so I just brought these on. There's a company, it's called Prospect Plus. So I believe it's prospectplus.com. I found them. I really like their stuff. They just have a lot of marketing materials. So again, kind of going back, you are the business. So, my business is going to buy my marketing materials. I'm also going to invest in my business by creating and having marketing materials on hand. So these are 3 postcards. Optimism. I just like, be optimistic. Story on foreclosure. And then here's another one. Perseverance. And then on the back, it has my picture. You can fully customize like the back of the postcard, branding yourself. So they see me. So when I knock on the door, oh, you're the guy on the postcard. So all of these, same thing. The optimism one is kind of cool because it has a little story or, my commitment to you and stuff like that. But what I'll do is I will send optimism. Then I'll send letter 1. Then I'll send stop foreclosure. Letter 2. Then I'll send letter 3. And then I'll send perseverance. So in the beginning, if you are looking to do the campaign, I do highly recommend, if you wanted to use postcards, just to throw in the mix. Because again, I'm trying to keep the touches. I want them to have a letter, and I want them to have a postcard. I want them to start to see Curtis coming through their mail. I also, on a side note, think that snail mail, or like our regular mailbox mail, possesses a huge marketing potential for us as agents to stand out in the crowd. When's the last time you personally have received anything in the mail outside of a bill that just was nice? It really doesn't happen much. So the marketing noise in a mailbox has been extremely drowned out. How many emails do you get a day, right? So our email box, you may get 50 emails a day, 20 emails a day. how many are you opening? You know what I mean? Like, so the digital era has created opportunity, but at the same time, it's kind of left a void. And I really like putting things in the mail. So that particular company, Prospect Plus, you know, they have other marketing materials, tons of different types of postcards, flyers, all kinds of things that you can use to, you know, if you're going to farm an area. You know, for me, I just look at Laurel. I live in Laurel. I want to make Laurel kind of it is my city, my town. So a lot of marketing efforts that I do are specifically geared toward Laurel. I'd rather drive 5 minutes down the road than driving 30 minutes down the road, right? Unless it's something specifically that I'm doing, you know, I just want to make Laurel kind of my area. And to do that, you can pull up zip codes. Actually, Shay, Mr. Porter, he can. So these are different. So this is specifically I'm using for my short sale campaign. At Porter House, we do have the ability, you could literally pull up, for me, my zip code would be 20708. I could pull up my zip code, tell Shay I want to do a email blitz to 20708. He'll let me know how much. He'll invoice me. They will prepare the postcards, mail the postcards, do everything to 20708. So if you're looking at making an area, you know, kind of your turf, there's tons of ways that we can do that. Relatively, you know, it's not really that expensive. But again, you're investing in yourself. You know, you're investing in your business. I want people to know that I do real estate in my area. So the postcards I just showed, very niche specific. If I'm doing a short sale campaign, I have all my stuff ready. You know, so I have my boxes, I have everything ready. And then for that particular campaign, if I know I'm going to do it, I'm going to go after these houses. I'll pull them. I have them kind of set aside. And then I'll just meticulously, I know postcard one, I like to handwrite everything. With this last campaign I did, I will be changing that. I am going to print out the return address as a sticker, you know, as a label, instead of handwriting that out. But the address I'm going after, I want to handwrite it. The postcard itself, I will handwrite it. For me, I just like more the personal touch. It seems more genuine when you see it handwritten than just a sticker. But these are for that campaign, and I'll have everything set. So one's going to go out the next day, or a few days later, I'll drop all these off at the post office. I'll drop the next batch off at the post office, all leading up to the final day that I'm going to actually door knock. I've mentioned before, but you know, just to throw it out there, one of the things that I did do this last campaign was I kind of took too big of a leap and was door knocking too many doors in one day. Do not recommend you do that. Just being very ambitious, and I was fired up because I have to knock. If I set the campaign in motion, I got to knock on the door. I just had like 14 doors to knock on in one day. I was like, it's Laurel. I'll do it, you know, a couple hours. Yeah, it took a little longer than that. So I do not recommend maybe 5 homes in a day, you know. But for me, by like home 9, I was like, just burnt out, driving all around. So next campaign I'll do like 5 to 6 houses, and I'll just set it where now this letter for this 5 will go out on this day, and then the next letter or group will go out a day later, and I'll just kind of space out the door knocking. I also invested in door hangers that we have access to. If you're in the office, you might have seen my face on the door. You know, those are very useful. got a big box of them. So if I'm doing any kind of door knocking or any campaign, I can always leave the door, the door hanger if nobody answers the door, which unfortunately happens quite a bit. Sometimes people just aren't home. And sometimes people, I know they were home and I know you're in there, but if you don't want to answer the door, it's all good. I have something to leave for you. So with that, the door knocking aspect, I'll have my door hanger. And then what I also do,
Curtis, are you frozen or is that me?
I
Mine's
think he's
frozen.
frozen.
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
am I back? Is everything okay?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. Sorry. Well, do you guys have any questions? Anything popped up you want to talk about? Or I can just keep talking. Questions or concerns, please feel free. Jump in at any time.
Good stuff, Curtis.
Cool. Thanks, Dee.
Hey, Curtis, I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
What do you spend on average for your campaigns, for your, the postcards, letters, things of that nature?
So good question, Ant. So basically, I bought these so long ago. I'd say like these specific postcards, I want to say I paid maybe $150, like if that, because with these specific, so these are very customized, and they have my picture on the back, but I got like, I think it was like 70 of each one. So with these customized, I don't burn through them. Like these aren't something that I'm like dumping in the mail all the time, because it's really like specific for a campaign, that if I set the campaign in motion, I have my stuff to put into the campaign. So probably like around $150. That's tops. Prospect Plus, you can literally, so of course, if you buy more postcards, the price goes down, so it's really a volume thing, but I didn't go crazy. I kind of kept it. I think they'll print as little as like maybe 25. You can do a small amount, but then it's like, if you do 26 to 40, it's like, $5 more, and you get, double the postcards or what have you. So, you can look at, it can kind of fit any real budget. I wouldn't advise to go ham and to buy like, 500 postcards of each one for something like this, because it's so campaign niche specific. You get a few of them. The main thing though with this particular campaign is to have it, is to have all your materials in place. I'm also looking at probably buying some postcards from them again. That will be just they have like, if you go to their site, you'll see, you can buy postcards for holidays, for all kinds of FSBOs. You can market the FSBOs. I think they even have like where they have marketing material for a investor that might want to sell their investment property. So you can even niche it down to, you want to go after investors. So there's tons of things that you can do. Halloween, 4th of July, these are also things, I haven't personally employed them yet, but these are things that we can also do as agents to stay in touch with our old clients, with the folks that we worked with before, a holiday postcard, anniversary, all kinds of things that we can kind of just stay, in front of our potential client. I think they even have like team, football season's coming up. So I want to say that you can, and you probably have got them in the mail yourself, like the Baltimore Ravens, schedule for the fall for the new season, and you send it to them and they hang it on their refrigerator, or so pretty inexpensive. And I would highly recommend to start kind of on the smaller side and then just scale up as you need to. But these particular postcards I have them, and that's the thing. Like, I meticulously went through. I like these postcards. All right, let me customize them so you kind of like access it, and you can change the font. You can change. It will preload the brokerage address and all of that. But I just moved certain things around, so just made sure my cell phone was on there. But again, it's just me being in the mailbox. But yeah, not too expensive, man. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions or want to throw anything out there? Cool. Well, I do believe that we are in a phenomenal time, especially being licensed agents, as we all are on this call. I think that the future is very bright for agents, that we will be able to help a lot of people. I think that we're really going to see, unfortunately, a huge shift. Once this CARES Act and these things kind of run their course, there's going to be a kind of a boom of people needing realtor help. That's why I've kind of put that one campaign in motion, and I'm looking to do another one. With this past campaign, I've actually had like 2 hard contacts. They actually reached out to me, which I just wasn't expecting it. It's kind of like you do all this work, you do this stuff, and it's like, is it going to actually happen? Something going to happen. And sure enough, that day that I drove around to like 14 houses around, it was just a crazy day, around Laurel, I was beat. I finally got home, and literally as I pulled into the driveway, my phone rang, and there was this lady, and she was like, did you leave information for my house? And I was just like, oh, yes, I did. She's still kind of working things out, trying to stay in her house. More than likely, something's going to happen. We had a great conversation. I've spoken to her several times since. I need to just follow up with her again, just to touch base.
Mhm.
Her particular house, if I would be able to list, is a $700,000 property. It was one of the more expensive homes that I knocked on. I knocked on homes from 200,000 to hers, which was one of the higher end homes. And then like a few days later, I got another call from a lady who is thinking about selling. That would be a $300,000 listing. She may not even be really underwater, but she's working on trying to stay in the home, see how things go. But I've spoken to her several times, and that's kind of going back to me sitting on the couch or being, laying on the couch, not paying, just the phone rings. That's how this works too, guys. Like, but if I didn't knock on the door and leave information, and then get the call and then engage the person, that follow-up call that I might get at any time just wouldn't happen.
Right.
So I think that's kind of the thing that we look at too, is don't worry about not getting the business or not getting the listing or helping, the person right there, right then, because they may not be ready. Buying, selling a home is a big ordeal. It's something that one person, unless you're an investor, you're just not going to be buying a house and selling a house. The thing is that I want to be the resource. I want to be able to help you whenever they're ready. When that might be, it could be a year from now. And I think that's what's going to happen too with the whole CARES Act thing and the kind of foreseeing of a big uptake in short sale foreclosures. is that not everyone's going to be ready to like list right then. But if I was in their mailbox, if I was on the phone with them, I will more than likely be the person that they will call. And that's what I want. You know, we're always going to have, as the porters will say, the low hanging fruit, you know, your immediate sphere of influence. You might have somebody that you bump into, you give them your card and you're off to the races. They're ready to go right then. They get pre-approved, you're shopping, under contract. But that kind of deal may not happen. It won't happen all the time. So a lot of the things,
I'm sorry, Curtis. I just I was just listening to you and thinking about many of the things that I've heard, which have to do with actually really building the relationship, so that people, we always talk about people knowing, liking, and trusting you, so that they will work with you. And this is what you're doing by, you know, being a resource for them, being a consultant, realizing that if you build a relationship, then when they need the help, they will come to you. That was one thing I heard from all of what you were talking about over the last 10 minutes. The other thing I wanted to ask directly is, we often talk about how many contacts you have to make before you actually will get a listing or get a transaction or get a client. And so with this campaign, this was a very small campaign on your part. You sent out letters to 14 homes or more, just 14.
Yep.
And out of the 14, you got 2 contacts, 2 real contacts.
Yeah.
And that's a campaign. It's getting so that you have a warm market.
Yep.
That people are calling you back from. And 2 out of 14, what is that? 1 out of 7, what is that percentage?
I don't know, but I'll take it.
It's pretty high.
Yeah.
It's pretty high. So just, you know, for folks to think about that, we're always saying, how much is it going to take to get this done? But if you're doing something like that and it's only costing you about $150,
Right.
you
Right.
look at your statistics. So that's a 15% return. And a lot of times you get like 1% out of 100.
Right.
So if you're looking at your statistics and you're analyzing what is giving you the best bang for your buck, this is a good way to really get started, to really get going.
Absolutely.
So.
And you know, Dee, another thing is that what this campaign will also do is it's going to pull you off your couch. It's going to pull you out of your comfort zone and going to make you knock on a door, which is powerful within itself. You know, again, we don't want to be secret agents, but the likelihood of you just going out to a neighborhood and walking around, knocking on doors, kind of slim. You know what I mean? Like, some people can do it. Some people do it. I'm not saying,
I did.
You know,
I'll tell you that for me, that was the best confidence builder that I could do.
Exactly.
The first year that I was in business as a realtor, that summer, I had gone to a training which said you need to door knock, and I was like, oh no. But it got me out. It got me talking to people. It got me to realize that I knew a lot about what I was doing, even though I felt like I was a newbie who didn't know anything. When people asked me questions, I could answer them. It just was a real confidence builder for me.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it. And if you do it the way Curtis did it, then you have more of a chance of actually getting some results from it. Because the only result I got from that first summer going around, and I did it for like 2 months, and I did this neighborhood for, I think I got through it 3 times, which isn't enough, but which is something else I'm learning. But so I didn't get anything from it except the confidence building.
Yes.
But if you do something where you do a campaign and go out and do something, then you get some real results. And you just have to realize that it's about building the relationship to get the deal. So it's plant, seed, and harvest.
Right.
Or as Curtis was saying. So
well, that's what I like about this particular campaign is everything is done for us. You don't have to do the postcards. You know, that's just something that I just took on myself and was like, okay, how can I get in their mailbox more during this campaign? You know, the 3 letters, great, but you know, how can I jazz it up? You know what I mean? I know the mailbox is empty. You know, very seldom do you have anything that you really get in the mail unless you ordered it on Amazon. You know, you ordered something. So I just took that on myself. You don't have to do the postcards. But again, I'm just trying to differentiate myself. But the real thing with the campaign is that it sets everything in place for you. So when you are knocking on the door, whether they answer or not, they know, one, the last letter that I sent them, I told them I'm going to be in your neighborhood around this time, and here I come, and I knock on your door. So it also kind of shows that I'm a man of my word, that I did show up, because if they weren't there, I had something to leave them. You can also use this campaign and go, I mean, if you want to, you could go the entire PG County. You could, you know, where now you have 100 potential short sales. I've just started and looked at my particular market in Laurel and just wanted to focus on Laurel to make it a little easier on myself. You can make it as big, you can make it as small, but at the end of the day, we should be doing something. If anything happens with either one of these potential properties, I know they want to stay in the house, they're working with their lender and this and that. And, you know, I know the outcome, eventually they're going to list the property. If I get one of them, that $150 that I spent on these postcards, I think it'll pay for itself.
the other thing to think about with that is, even if you get neither of them, they're going to remember you. So if somebody says something to them about needing some help with home, there you go with your referrals. And that's how we keep building our business.
Yeah. I actually had a referral. And it was funny because the phone, you know, like I saw the name and I remembered the name, but I didn't, you know, I didn't know exactly who, you know what I mean? But I knew they were a potential listing. And they were able to, so I actually helped them stay in their house. Did I want the listing if I could have got it? Absolutely. But I wanted to be of service as a real estate agent, helping them with their real estate issue. I was able to get them in touch with Michael Cooper, and he was able to get them refinanced and kind of restructured in their home, and they stayed in the home, right? It's kind of that like, but again, I was a resource. I helped them. So she called, and it wasn't for her, but her daughter is looking to buy a house. Again, sent them to Michael Cooper. They're pre-approved. She's just waiting because of things going on in her life right now, where she'll be actively ready to shop and to really look for the home end of September, October. But she signed the agency documents. We have a pre-approval letter. She is ready to go. That was a referral from somebody that I helped to stay in their house. You know what I mean? I didn't get their business, but because I did such a good job and was such a good resource for her, who did she refer? Her daughter, you know, and for her to refer her daughter just shows, you know, you're not going to just refer somebody to your child, you know what I mean? If you don't trust them, if they didn't do a good job. So again, that's looking at, you know, kind of the long game. You know, some transactions are going to be quick, short and sweet, easy peasy. Some are just going to come like that. Again, phone ring, you know, how can I help? Okay. And bam, you know, but if I didn't put myself out there to help, you know, months ago, I don't even remember when. I guess I could pull up and see the text message, you know, when I was helping the mom. It was a while ago, This wasn't anything recent. But again, anytime I'll get it, especially like something like this, I'll get name, email, put it in my constant contacts, which the last training I was telling you guys, I really have to get better. And, that's one of the things I'm looking at over the next few months is to get my constant contacts going. But if I send anything out, she's going to receive it, So again, just staying in, oh, that's right. Oh, I got something from Curtis. You know what? My daughter's thinking about buying it. Let me call Curtis. And that's how all this stuff really works. If we're not putting ourselves out there, if we're not putting ourselves in front of folks, and I mean, we all have emails. We have an email list. It could be 50 people. Those 50 people need to hear from you at least on a monthly basis that you do real estate. If it's 500 people, it doesn't matter, and you should constantly kind of be building up that list because you just never know when the phone's going to ring, when that call is going to come through. By staying engaged, jumping on these trainings, it keeps you in the mix as being an agent. I know personally through entrepreneurial experiences of my own, entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely. When you're self-employed, when you're kind of out there, it's kind of like the lone wolf. You know what I mean? Like very few people can relate to entrepreneurial sales. That's why I make it such a point to be on every realty talk that we put on, just so I can be around you guys, other realtors, hearing information. I may not get, tons of information from one realty talk, but I might get that one nugget where I'm like, you know what? I could do that the next time I do this, or some talks, I'm getting tons of information. I'm taking notes. I always have my notepad. Anytime I'm on, I have a designated porterhouse or realty, notepad, take notes. But it just is so important for us to get as much information and to keep getting information. Surround yourself with folks that are trying to do better, trying to make something happen. And that's one of the things that I love at being at Porterhouse. Jasmine told me one of the first things was like, there's no ceiling with real estate. We can make as much money, guys, as we want to. There's no way, nobody out there stopping you from making, $10 million a year. Nobody's stopping you. The only person stopping you is probably you. And that's the benefit of coming to trainings. That's the benefit of surrounding yourself, reaching out to other agents. I make myself available. I know I've had agents call me with questions or need something. Any guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. It's no problem. If I know it, I'll let you know. If I don't know it, I know somebody who does. And it's probably Shay or Jasmine, But again, those are resources, so you don't ever have to feel like you're out here by yourself. We're all in this together, There's nothing like seeing people succeed. I love it. And I want all of the success for all of us. And I see kind of a huge opportunity coming down the road with the potential short sale market. So any articles that you guys see, post them to the WhatsApp group or make sure you're reading them. I've had even friends or family of mine send me, information about, what Hogan is doing for the CARES Act and how he extended it, because they know it affects real estate. So the more information, again, the more knowledge you guys can get as things start to open up more, as this potential of increase in short sales and whatnot, as it starts to happen, you're already knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. You can talk to somebody and let them know, like, hey, no sweat. We can get you out of that property. You know what I mean? Like, we can help you. It's going to be okay. And you don't know where things can kind of snowball and go from there, So I employ everybody, get your cards out, hand them out, plant those seeds, And I know it's 1:34. So if anybody has anything you want to chime in, jump on out there. If not, it's been a pleasure. And I'll bring the Realty Talk to a close and get about our day. Cool. I'll start. Go ahead.
If, after you close the recording, I have a question.
Sure.